Hello, V-Gates. My name is Monica Leana. This is Books and Beauty, where I talk about books while doing my makeup. As you can see, yes, I already did my makeup, but we're going to be really quick about this, so I figured it didn't really matter if I did my makeup. Anyways, so we're going to talk about Something in the Way by Jessica Hawkins. And the reason that we're going to talk about this is because I want to do a comparison. Because apparently, if you like the Off Balance series, then I guess this is a good series to go off of. If you're like, okay, I like this, I need something similar to this. This apparently series is like the same concept in the sense of like the age gap and like all the drama and all the feels. There's cliffhangers at the end of like each book and stuff like that. So I wanted to try it. Ava, shh. So I wanted to see how I felt about it, because as we all know, I'm missing my Kova, and we'll see whether or not this Manning character can take his place. I'm gonna say no, but maybe he can be a quick little second. So we start off with Lake is her name. She's 16 years old, and I'm gonna make a quick comment about her. Hopefully she gets at it. She is the naive, virginal young girl that I'm so sick and tired of hearing. I don't mind the whole virginal thing. I get it. She's 16 years old. Plenty of people don't lose their virginity until like later in life and everything. That's not the problem. The problem that I have is that she's naive and she's basically stupid about the world around her. She's book smart and she doesn't know the world. And the reason I say this is because, Manning is a construction worker that's basically doing some construction near their house. He's off to the side having a cigarette. She kind of bumps into him, and I think she like misplaced her bracelet somewhere and everything. He finds it and he makes a joke about the pawn shop. Well, they're talking and like she kind of is messing with it and it like fell off, and she didn't realize it fell off, and he's just like, you're gonna lose it again. It's on the floor. And she was like, oh, you're not gonna like take it to the porn shop? And he's like, what? He's like, the porn shop. And he's like, pawn shop. And she's like, I don't know what that is. You're 16 years old. You telling me you don't know the difference between, one, what a pawn shop is, two, porn? You don't know the difference between pawn shop and porn. She's not, and she's not homeschooled. She's 16. She goes to public school. She has friends. And you're telling me you don't know what porn is? And you don't know what a pawn shop is? And you think that they're the same thing? I call bullshit. And I'm so sick and tired of these authors making these girls so fucking dumb. I'm so sick and tired of it. Okay, you're 16. I get it. You don't know the love making. I get that concept. But don't tell me that this girl is that fucking stupid. Even though she's smart at the same time. She's book smart, but she doesn't know like life, like the basic things of life, of like what porn is. Like, come on. Even if she didn't watch it, she knows what porn is and the difference between a pawn and a porn shop. So don't fucking tell me she doesn't. And I'm so sick and tired of these authors making these girls this fucking stupid. Stop it. Stop it. She doesn't have to be this stupid. We can get the concept without her being this stupid. But anyways, so let's move on, because I'm so sick of it. Ava, please. Shh. They're doing like landscaping outside, so they're like freaking out. Hey, shh. Anyways, so she meets Manning. They're chit-chatting. Her older sister, which is 19. Manning is 23, by the way. Kind of starts getting in. She finds him attractive, and she starts to try to scope on him because she's the wild child, the one that the parents are kind of disappointed with, versus Lake is the good child that's gonna go places that the dad likes and puts his time into. So those are their tropes: the smart nerdy kid that knows nothing and the wild child that everybody's disappointed with. That's their tropes. And they kind of all three somewhat get a friendship in a way, which I find a little bit weird, but like that's basically what happens, is they kind of get a little bit of a friendship. Well, as time goes on, Lake says she's going to be a counselor at this camp, and like she does it for like college credits. It looks good on her like college resume and stuff like that, and ropes Manning into it because he can get paid to be a counselor because he works in construction. You know how construction is a little bit iffy with like jobs. So he's like, that's fine, cool, I'll do it. Like, I like kids, and to get paid, I'm like, that sounds fun. And then, you know, I get to be outside, and he's like an outside kind of guy. Tiffany joins along for the mere fact that she just wants to be with Manning, and that's about it. So they don't do anything while they're at the camp because the rules are to not drink, and also not to mess around because we don't want no Crystal Lake type of situation. So it's like, don't do that. Like, even if you're in a relationship, don't do that while you're here, or you will be kicked out and never be asked to come back. So Manning uses this excuse of why he doesn't want to go with Tiffany, because Tiffany wants to bang. And he's just like, no, we can't do that. We gotta like follow the rules. Like, I actually like you here and I'm getting paid. So like, let's not do that. Plus I'm a gentleman, so I wanna go slow. And she's a little bit upset, which is so funny because it's just like, why do females do this sometimes? Like, when a man rejects them, it's like, oh, you must be gay or something. But then if a female does that, it's like, right? So it's like, he doesn't want to fuck right now. Like, just respect that. But anyways, she's kind of upset. But he's also in a way doing mixed signals. He really is doing mixed signals because the thing is, he's not really trying to like mess with her, but at the same time doesn't want her to leave. So I can understand her possible like frustration. And the reason he doesn't want her to leave is because he kind of likes Lake. And he doesn't really admit it to himself. He just kind of, this is what's weird. He looks at her like a sister because you end up finding out that his sister died, and he looks at Lake kind of like as if that would have been his sister if she would have not died, and he thinks of her as pure and innocent, and he wants to like hold that and like protect her, which I'm like, I find that a weird way to set up their, I'm assuming, love thing that's about to happen, because it's like you basically are looking at her like a sister and you want to keep her innocence, but yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna eventually corrupt it. So it's like, okay. But he's using Tiffany to kind of like keep her around, and he ends up going on a beer run because I guess on the last day of camping, all the people that are 21 and up, which means Tiffany is not involved, she's back in her room, are allowed to have like a few kind of congratulational drinks of like, we had a good summer, blah blah blah. Well, they have no more alcohol, so he goes on a beer run because he hasn't been drinking at all. So he's like, I can go on a beer run. Lake basically sneaks in the car, is like, hey, take me, which he doesn't want to do it, but she's like, come on, it's the last night, nobody's gonna know, it's gonna be quick, just take me. So he's like, fine, I'll take you. Well, on their way back, they kind of go slow and like the long way around, because he does want to be with her. He's trying to do it in an innocent way, but like, he's like, okay, we'll just go like the long way around. Well, they almost hit a coyote, and when they stop, there's like a little lake pond close by. So she's like, oh, let's go for like a dip. He doesn't want to do it, but she goes anyways. He's not gonna leave her. So he kind of joins her, and she goes underwater and he can't see her. And that's kind of when he has somewhat of a panic attack, because you find out, he tells her that the way his sister died is by accidental drowning, because his family was abusive. He walked in on his dad hitting her, and when he went to go beat up the dad, he told her to run. She ran, slipped, and apparently like fell into the water, to the pool or something like that, because, you know, she got unconscious and she accidentally drowned. And the dad went to prison for abuse, and like I said, and the sister drowned, and that's why he had like a panic attack of like, please don't do that, like you're making me feel things. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like, they kind of have a moment, someone kiss, blah blah blah. Well, a cop rolls up and she hides in the car, which I find this to be a little bit funny, because the thing is, she hides in the car because she's like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble because, you know, it's gonna look a little weird that like an underage person is in the car and there's alcohol in the car. Like nothing's open, but it's like, it's gonna look kind of weird. 23-year-old with 16-year-old, alcohol in the car in the middle of the night. Gonna look a little suspicious, which I'm like, true. But at the same time, you literally could say that's your sister, and you guys are counseling up, you know, because that's exactly where they were. Like they were going back to camp, and like he just brought his sister with it because she's 16. She says she doesn't have a driver's license, so she has no ID. So I'm like, so this cop literally would not know. He would have to take your word for it because he cannot arrest you for having a 16-year-old if he didn't catch you guys doing anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they made it more difficult. But anyway, she hid in the back. The cop made sure that he wasn't drunk, made him like get out, do a little line, because he's like, okay, just making sure that like you are what you say you are and you're not drunk and everything like that. Cool. So they go back, everything's fine. The next morning, apparently there were some break-ins like in the neighborhood that they like drove by, and they assume that it was him that broke in, which obviously it wasn't. But like these rich people want somebody to think, and they're like, well, there was a car that was rolling around, which is like, it was him, but he didn't do anything. He was like, we didn't even stop. Like it was literally, they were just going slowly and looking up at the stars or something like that, and that's all they were doing. But like I said, they made it difficult and made it where she hid, so the cop never saw her, and he's just like, don't say that you were in the car. It's gonna look bad, definitely, because you hid, so they're gonna wonder why you hid. So this whole thing, he gets brought in and is basically accused of being the burglar. And this is where I kind of like do my disbelief. I mean, I don't know the legal system, but they're basically saying he's gonna go down for this, which I'm like, how is he gonna go down for this? Because I'm like, supposedly they saw his car, and I guess the person tagged him as like the person, like the eyesight and everything like that. But it's like, no, I feel like you would still need more evidence. I'm like, where's the stuff? Are there fingerprints? I'm like, you can't just accuse somebody and just that be that, and like, well, you're gonna go to jail, and then like, here's the deal and everything like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like it, and also it wouldn't go that fast. I'm like, I feel like they would have to get more evidence. But anyways, so he's locked up. The lawyer is basically like, I believe that you didn't do this, but I don't believe your story. He ends up confessing to the lawyer like, hey, you're right, I didn't do it, but the reason I'm kind of telling a fib of like my story is because it involves a 16-year-old, nothing happened, but it looks suspicious and everything like that. And the lawyer basically agrees of like, yeah, it doesn't look great. Like, you do have an alibi, but yeah, 16-year-old being in there and the fact that she hid may not look good for your case and stuff like that. So they decide to not bring her into it whatsoever. And he ends up taking a plea deal for like some type of burglary, and it's up to 2 years. So that's how the story ends, is that he's gonna go to jail for like 2 years. I'm sure it's probably not gonna be 2 years. It's probably gonna be like 6 months with like the rest on probation or something. You know how that kind of goes. So that's how it ends. And I'm like, 2 years for a supposed burglary that you guys don't have no proof. You don't have none of the like evidence. I'm like, I feel like that's kind of a shitty deal, but whatever, that's how it ends. And so far, I'm not really feeling this story. I am going to continue it. I have the second book. I'll probably start to say it. Hopefully it'll start to kind of get going, but I don't feel the connection. Like, I just don't. Like, I think Manning, one, I'm not attracted to him at all. And then Lake, she's just stupid. She's stupid, she's naive, and I can't stand this whole stupid, naive, versional thing of like, oh, I'm so innocent, I don't know the world, but then a man comes into my life and all of a sudden I'm awoke. Like, come on, girl. You don't need a man to show you every little thing. I get it. Like, there are moments where people show you stuff, but still, it's just, I'm so sick and tired of this versional innocent thing. And the way he talks about her is as if she's the sister. He does not talk about her in a like, man, I'm attracted to her or anything like that. He does a little bit in the sense of like, I shouldn't want to be around her. But like, other than that, he's just like, she reminds me of my sister. She reminds me of my sister. And I'm like, that's not really attractive. I'm not feeling the attraction. So we'll see. Supposedly, like I said, these books get more intense, and it's gonna be the whole thing of like every end of the book is gonna end with a cliffhanger. So I'm like, all right, I'm down for this. But like, so far, I'm like, I am not feeling this. This relationship is cheesy, uncomfortable, and just not even sexy. I am not feeling no passion, other than the fact that she has a crush on him. That's what it is. She has a crush on him because that's her first, like, I'm assuming, crush. So she's like really crushing, and then he just looks at her like a sister that he can boink. So that's my little review. I hope you enjoyed, and we will continue, and I'll let you know whether or not it gets any better. Have a good day. Just